Hey everyone, I'm Joey Foster. A Golden Blue Dude is actually traveling. He's on his way to West Virginia. He says he's going to try to drop in with us for a little bit. But hey, I'm going to tell you right now, if you played a basketball bracket, most likely you're busted. I read it a while ago. Only 0.12% of the brackets filled out are still perfect. But I brought in a couple of basketball experts, and these guys are top notch right here. Here we go. We're going to bring in Hupper Billy Paul. What's going on, Hupper Billy?
Hey man, I would call me an expert, but I am an aficionado.
Yeah, we're going to call you an expert. But with my standards of college basketball, you're an expert. Okay, we're going to compare the standards here. I
Yeah.
also brought in, I also brought in Edom Dogs himself, Mayhem Matthew. What's going on, Matthew?
It's going good. How y'all doing tonight?
Good man, doing good. So yeah, we got all these brackets are busted. So I'm going to share screen and go over some scores here real quick in case anybody's out of the loop. So let me do that real quick. Let me share a screen and go bring some scores up so that everybody will know what's going on. So here we
Yeah,
start it
we're
off.
working from the same sheet of music. Yep.
Right. We started off the day with 8 seed Maryland against 9 seed West Virginia. Maryland beats West Virginia 67-65. And Vegas had West Virginia as a favorite. So that was an upset. Then we have 13 seed Furman going up against 4 seed Virginia. And Furman beats them on the last second play, throwing the ball down the court. So that was an amazing win for Furman. Congratulations to them. 10 seed Utah State and 7 seed Missouri. Missouri takes care of them 76-65. 16 seed Howard and number 1 seeded Kansas. Kansas, no problem there, 96-68. Then we have Texas A&M 75 and number 1 Alabama 96, so no problem there. Charleston 57 and San Diego State 63. Not a big deal there. Then we get to the big one. Number 15 seeded Princeton 59. Number 2 seeded Arizona 55. Everybody's bracket's busted. I don't know anybody that picked that game. I don't know anybody that picked Princeton to beat Arizona. Then we have Arkansas beating Illinois 73-63. Auburn taking down Iowa 83-75. And Duke takes down Oral Roberts 74-51. Texas beats Colgate 81-61. Northwestern beats Boise State 75-65. Games going on right now. We have Tennessee leading Louisiana Lafayette 19-13. Houston and Northern Kentucky are at it. Just games just starting. Northern Kentucky and Houston are tied at 18. That's what's going on. Now let's talk about some of these bracket busters. So,
So first and
are you
foremost,
busted?
can we make it clear we won't get to see the toothbrush play the toothpaste? Okay, because Colgate lost, so Oral Roberts, the toothbrush, isn't going to be able to play the toothpaste.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is, unfortunately.
So is your bracket busted, Hupper Billy? Do you have anybody left in the Final Four? Did you have Arizona?
Well, I didn't pick Furman to beat Virginia, right? I thought Virginia would go almost to the grade 8, or I really did, but it doesn't surprise me. So Furman winning was kind of, because I've been arguing that Clemson should hire the Furman coach. So then people on all the Clemson, they don't like it. And then the Arizona loss, I mean, really, that was, yeah, that busted one bracket for me, and it's gone. And so Virginia should have gotten to the 8, so I'm done with that for a while. And then, but Arizona, that kills me. That really does. And the one that I will say, and most people probably don't realize this, is Duke is better than that. Everybody thought, oh, Duke's weak this year. They were. They're not now. They've gelled. So Duke's going to probably go to the Final Four, if not the final. So I still have them, thankfully. But yeah, it's been real. It's been a real eye opener, hasn't it? It's awesome.
Yeah, it has. Matt, are you busted too?
Yeah, the only two I got wrong was the two really big ones, the Princeton and Furman. I was watching Golden Blue Dude's video, and I was really thinking about changing my mind on Furman. Golden Blue Dude had me thinking there, but I left it. But I'm gonna say something about that Furman game. There's about 5 seconds left, and the Virginia guy had it. He could have literally either got fouled or, I mean, he didn't have to throw the ball. That was probably the worst decision in the history of the NCAA tournament. He threw the ball. Why are you throwing the ball with 5 seconds left? Even if the shot clock goes out, I mean, that's like the dumbest thing you could have done.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
5 seconds left. You throw the ball. Why don't you let the guy foul you so you can? That was the stupidest thing you could have done.
I agree with you, man. But at the same time, people under pressure do weird stuff.
So
I mean-
shout out, Chad, everybody that's with us real quick. Out running down through here. We got Ron McClure with us. He says Arizona loses to Princeton. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Okay. Billy's in here. Of course, he's in here with us. Jesse Wilson, thanks for being here with us tonight. Bonehead's with us. Alan Bellamo's with us. Jonathan Easel, Brendan Baker. Thanks for being here, guys. Scotty B, the Baylor King. Hey, if you guys are not a member of or don't follow us on Substack, go to substack.com, search out Golden Blue Dude. Scotty B's our head writer over there. He's one of our writers. He writes some great articles on Baylor football. He covers Baylor and Baylor sports. He wrote an article just today on tennis. So he put some good articles out. We have other writers over there too. So go over to substack.com, search for Golden Blue Dude and sub it up for us. Yvette, my better half is in here. Thanks for being here, Yvette. Lewis is in here. We got T-Duck in here. We got John Christoph in here. I'm reading really fast, guys. Courtney's in here. Thanks for being here, Courtney. Jonathan Easel and Don in Kansas. And then Kansas carries on. And then Talkers Pitt. Thanks for being here, Talkers Pitt. Appreciate that. What I will do is here in about 15 minutes ago, I'll share the StreamYard link and let some of you guys come in and talk about your basketball teams. Whatever. What I will do is here in about 15 minutes ago, I'll share the StreamYard link and let some of you guys come in and talk about. Had to mute you, Hupper Billy. I got some feedback. So anyway, yeah. So that busted yours, Matthew. But you're still alive in the Final Four, am I right?
No. Arizona. I had Arizona in my Final Four, but I am still alive in the Final Two. Though I got Kansas State versus Texas. I have Kansas State winning it all.
I've got Kansas and Kansas State in my Final Two. I've got 3 Big 12 teams in my Final Four. Texas, Kansas State, and Kansas. And I think Kansas and Kansas State will play for the Natty. But I have Kansas winning it all.
I will agree with you here. I do think a Big 12 team will win it all this year.
Yeah, I mean, the Big 12 in basketball is like the SEC in football anymore, isn't it? It kind of seems that way.
Yeah, I would agree.
So I'm going to tell you, I think now that my brackets, 2 of my brackets are gone, right? I mean, Virginia, I didn't think was going to the final, but they could have gone longer. So that hurts. And then Arizona. But Gonzaga and Duke. And I know you guys love Arizona, or y'all think Arizona State I'm sorry, or Kansas State, I should say, not Arizona. Kansas State, I'm not sold on it. And Kansas has weaknesses. I mean, Texas showed that. So I'm not a believer in them. I think that Gonzaga and Duke are the two that are going to end up at the end. But I've already lost half my pick. So
I'm just not a believer in Gonzaga because every single time, like last year, I picked Gonzaga to win the whole thing, and they choked. I mean, it seems like every year Gonzaga chokes right at the end. So I have them in my Final Four. I just can't pick them right now. I mean, they let me down last year, and I'm holding a grudge.
Well, now if Gonzaga wins, if Gonzaga would win it all, isn't that the same as the Big 12 winning it? There's all this talk about Gonzaga coming to the Big 12 anyway.
They
Man.
should. Yeah, yeah. You're right, Joey. You're right. But
Um,
that's going to be TBD to be determined. I don't think that they're going to skate through, but I think they at some point enough swings at the with the axe, and eventually the tree will fall. That's what I think.
I don't have my bracket in front of me, but I'm pretty sure I had them losing in the Sweet 16. I think that's where I had Gonzaga losing. So I want to talk about something too that, and it'll kind of steer the conversation away from basketball, but it still pertains to basketball too, and that's NIL. So I've come up with a plan to fix NIL, and it's a pretty simple plan. So if we think about NIL right now, it's a wild west, right? Pay this player $8 million. You don't have to tie him to the school. He can go and play one down and transfer out, get his $8 million and transfer out and go somewhere else to get another $8 million if he wants to, right? It's the wild west right now. But here's what you can do. Number one, this would help NIL. This will help a transfer portal. Take away the rule that says pay for play. Take away the pay for play rule. That way you can tie him to the university. When you give him an NIL contract, it does tie him to the university. That means if he wants that NIL money that he's been promised, he has to stay at that university and play out his career, including bowl games. It fixes that because they don't get set out in a bowl game. That's when people get the most eyeballs, right? That's when they want to get eyeballs nationwide. So the NIL contract can tie him to that. That'll fix bowl games, setting out. That'll fix it. It'll fix all kinds of problems. Transfer portal, NIL problem. Take away the pay for play rule so that you can pay them to play. Tie them to the university. What do y'all think about that?
Well, the only it won't fix, like, let's just say, for example, Bryce Young that's going into the NFL. You tie him to the university. He's going to the NFL, so that last bowl game, if he decides to opt out, which he didn't, but what I'm saying, for some reason he did with the rule that you gave, how would you be able to tie him down to the college if he's going to the NFL? That'll be my only question.
You put it in this contract that if he wants the NIL money, right? So he can opt out. He can opt out of the bowl game. He can opt out of returning his senior year, right? Let's say a player's in his third year, and he's got a lot of interest from the NFL. He's probably going to be a first-round draft pick. That's fine. He can opt out of his bowl game and go to the NFL early. But he loses the NIL money for that year because he's tied to the contract that says he's got to play in the bowl game. And then the next year, he wouldn't get no NIL money at all because he wouldn't be there. So you just put it in the contract that if you leave early or if you set out a bowl game, you don't get the money for that year for the NIL. Give him a signing bonus. I mean, hell.
But Joey, that's not it may be you may want it to be universal. My thing is that people are willing to give them the money. They need to put that in the contracts.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But they can't right now because that would be pay for play. They can't put in the contract, you've got to play at Miami, and if you transfer to Clemson, you don't get the money. They can't put that in there. They can't tie it to a university because that's pay for. Get rid of the pay for play rule, and they can tie it to the university. Then the player don't hit the transfer portal. He stays at the university. And
I think that should get a court challenge because I don't think that you can't. First and foremost, you have to abide by the terms of a contract, and if you don't do what you said you're going to do in a contract, you're not going to get your money, and that's all there needs to be. Now, whether you're playing for Miami versus Florida State versus Penn State, it doesn't. You must play in these games, or we don't give you the money. Sorry.
Okay, so let me say this. That's tying them to the university, but let's say this. Here's what they can put in an NIL contract right now, Billy. They can put in there. We want you to appear in 3 ads for us this year for this car dealership, right? I'm just using an example. You have to appear 3 ads this year, and we're going to pay you $10,000 per ad, whatever. Okay, so we want you to put 3 ads. That's all they can put it. They can't sit in there as long as you pay for West Virginia University. we're going to have you for 3 ads. They can't put that in there. So the player can sign the NIL contract to say, I'll do 3 ads for you, and then transfer to Pitt if he wanted to, and play for Pitt and still do those 3 ads for that car dealership in Morgantown and get his money, and then sign an NIL contract at Pitt because it's not tied to a university.
Right.
As long as they are upholding the terms of their contract. Okay, so Quinn Ewers upheld the terms of his contract at Ohio State before he transferred to Texas. But he got all his money at Ohio State, transferred to Texas. If they could have tied him to the university at Ohio State, he'd still be playing there.
Well,
Yeah.
I got a question then. I mean, every contract can be bought out. So I mean, if you tie it to the university, I mean, can't just another university buy out that contract, still transfer, still the same thing?
They could. Yep.
Let's see.
But
John
but,
Mazzulla,
it,
thank
but,
you
it,
for-
but Joy, it's a good concept. I don't think it's wrong. I actually think it's close. If not the solution, it's very, very close. Yeah.
Right. It's going to be something like that, and also take away or fix it where there's only one transfer. You could transfer one time.
Yeah.
This limit to transfers is crazy. We've had JT Daniels go from USC to Georgia to West Virginia and now to Rice. Hey, pick a school. John Marzullo, $5 super chat. Thank you so much. He said it's time to talk about just how bad both the Big Ten and Pac-12 are in tournament. It's crazy how bad they have been.
Don't get me started, because me, Joy. I can't stand. Well, I would say this. I think, and it's just me, it's my opinion, the Big Ten and the Pac have zero credibility against the South's football team. And I include West Virginia in the South. And I include the Big 12 in the South. Okay? So when you start getting those teams playing somebody in the South, they ain't got jack diddly squat. Okay? And that's why they're not going to win in the new championship series. They're just not. And I don't like, people can prove me wrong when they win one. They ain't winning one though. So
Well, a Big
I
Ten
know
team
opinion.
beat West Virginia today, so I can't really say too much to that comment because Maryland beat West Virginia. If anybody watched that game, oh my God, what a terrible game! Man, I tell you what, it's terrible officiating, terrible game, and West Virginia couldn't make a shot. They picked a bad time to go cold. I mean, they just couldn't make anything. I'm gonna throw the StreamYard link in the chat if anybody wants to come in and just say hi or talk about something. You got a question for Pepper Billy? Got a question for Matthew? Got a question for me? Ask it away, and I'll lie about it or something. But we'll figure.
It was funny though. I mean, West Virginia, that Maryland game. I'm telling you, man. I said this before we got on. It was like the Keystone Cops. That whole game was the weirdest game I've watched in a while.
You wanted to hear Benny Hill music the whole game, right? You know Benny Hill music, don't you?
Yeah, that's what I felt like. I swear to God, it was something. And hell, Clemson's played some of those games, man. I watched them, and they make me, I just cringe. So I feel your pain. I feel your pain. That Furman Virginia game though, Virginia was stupid, and Mayhem had it right. Why would you do that? But at the same time, I was rejoicing because it's my hometown. Furman is where I grew up. My mom worked at Furman, so when they beat Virginia, I'm dancing.
Yeah, even the
What's up, fellas?
Sorry, Matthew. Go ahead.
I was gonna say even the after the game, the one of the Furman guys was like, he threw the ball. And they were still like in shock going to the locker room. They're like, he threw the ball.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
John, I see you in the back room. I'll bring you in a little bit. I don't want to get too many in here at one time. So what's on your mind, Talkers Pit? So you guys had a big victory.
Yeah, we pulled off the I don't want to necessarily, well, it is an upset because we weren't favored in that game. But I like how a lot of SEC fans and some Big 12 fans, not all West Virginia fans, banded together and with their hatred for Pitt, and which is kind of crazy because Pitt doesn't play a lot of Big 12 teams outside of West Virginia, and to be honest, the last Big 12 team to really do damage to us was the one we have tomorrow. We've beaten everybody, almost everybody the Big 12 has to offer in basketball. But
Well,
I wanted
now,
to.
wait a minute. You didn't beat West Virginia.
That's what
Uh,
I said.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I mean. Besides West Virginia, we don't really have any trouble with anybody in the Big 12. But what I wanted to comment on was why does everybody every single year put themselves through the pain of putting Virginia in their Final Four, their winner bracket, the Sweet 16, and they do this?
I mean,
Ever since
they won the tournament
Hey,
in
brother, they
2018.
won. They won the damn natty.
In
So
20,
yeah, and we beat them this year too, so that doesn't really matter.
they still won the natty. So that's why.
You know, I just feel like, I mean, right now, as it is right now, and this is all subject to change because, Duke and North Carolina and UCLA and Indiana and those teams are not going to be out of this thing for long. Right now, I think the NCAA tournament is just the Big 12s to lose right now.
I mean,
yeah.
that's why. I mean, the same reason why people put Kentucky in their Sweet 16, Elite 8, and Final Four. I mean, they lost to Vandy this year in basketball. I mean, I don't know.
Joey, do you guys, Joey and you guys know how good or how bad and what Iowa State's strengths and weaknesses are?
I would
Which
say it's a
one?
pretty decent team.
Iowa State.
Iowa State's a fairly decent team. They are about like a West Virginia. They are a lot like West Virginia, to be honest with you. So they're going to be.
Wait a minute. I didn't catch what you said. What you asked. What did you
He's
say?
asking, what are the strengths and weaknesses of Iowa State and who they might compare to. And I'm telling him they compare to West Virginia. Pretty tough defense. Can shoot on offense. Really good scoring offense. So,
But they look. Iowa State. They're good, but they're not. They're solid. They're above average. They're not elite. Okay, they're not even close to elite on offense. Okay, they can shoot if you don't have defense against them. A good defensive team against them will shut them down. That's what's going to happen, and they're not going to make it. And look, did Pitt play today? I didn't think they played
They
today.
played yesterday. We beat Mississippi State.
Yeah. I was about to say they didn't play today because y'all were talking like it was today.
They play Iowa State.
We play Iowa State tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
I feel like
I'm sitting here trying to objectively look at this game and not just say, oh, Pitt's going to pull off the upset or do this or that in the third without actually knowing anything about Iowa State because I know nothing.
How much is Iowa State favored?
2.5, 4, in 2.5, 4.5, one of them two.
I was going to say probably about 4.5.
You better. Hey, listen, Pitt. If talk is Pitt, you better damn beat them because you're representing the conference here, and we already have a couple teams that are just crapping the bed on the ACC. Clemson being one of them, and then you got Virginia being the other, and you guys have to hold it up. You have to hold it up.
I
Are
think
we the only ones left?
I think Iowa State is pretty good offensively, but terrible defensively. So,
Well, see, the thing is, we can shoot though, and that's the thing. That's the one thing Pitt can do. Defense.
Well, that's
is
how
up
West
and
Virginia
down.
beat them with 3-pointers. That's how West Virginia beat them. I mean, they was leaving us wide open out beyond the arc there and beyond 3
Well, and
points.
see, I watched one game, and that was the West Virginia and Iowa State game, and that's because that was the first one that popped up. And the one thing I noticed is they leave a lot of space in between the person who has the ball and I guess a good defense. Like they're way too far out. It's like they're wide receiver and DB on the court.
Yeah, yeah. They're not tight defense. They can be good if they get tight, but they're not tight.
So it's possible we could pull off the upset tomorrow. Very
Yeah,
possible.
yeah. I mean, not just possible. You should.
After
I
after
think we should be
after
able to-
Princeton beat Arizona, anything's possible.
I think you'll beat Iowa State, and then here's why: you lost to West Virginia, and you lost pretty bad to West Virginia. But West Virginia is a lot more physical than Iowa State's going to be, and
Oh,
that's what they got you guys is they were really physical, and so
Yeah.
Iowa State not near as physical. I think you can beat Iowa State.
I hope
Yeah.
we do. I hope we do. So I can rub it in your guys' face even more.
That's all right.
I've been going back and forth all day on Twitter and YouTube with West Virginia fans. Most of the interactions have been positive, though. Unlike Penn State fans, see, that's where I got to give you guys credit. You guys have
Yeah.
way more class than they do.
How did West Virginia lose, though? Honestly, I mean,
Yeah,
Mm.
well, yeah, I didn't have us losing, that's for sure. Neither did Vegas. But
Neither
we
did
did. We
I.
just couldn't make it. We couldn't shoot. We could not shoot. I mean, Stevenson was our best shooter on the team, and he just wasn't making the shots. I mean, in that first half, it was horrible. He was hitting the back of the rim. He was hitting the
Is that
backboard
why
and
you
going
got
off the
benched?
edge. I'd say. I mean, he just wasn't hitting shots, and he normally
Because
doesn't
that
miss.
kind of tail end of the game.
But now anybody that's ever played basketball knows how it is, right? Because I played basketball, and as you change arenas, right? So you're in a smaller arena at home, then you get in one of these big arenas inside of a tournament or something, and the basketball goal kind of changes distance on you. Does that make sense? So even though you're
Yeah.
shooting
Yeah.
from a 3-point line, because the stadium's so much bigger, because the arena's so much bigger, the basketball goal looks further away from you, and you can't shoot. It makes a huge difference. So I think that's maybe what happened to Stevenson. I think that he couldn't get it lined up right, and as a result, it was a sloppy game on both teams. Neither team could shoot the ball.
well,
I mean,
Yeah, that was one.
you're not going to be alone, Joey, because Houston's struggling and against North Kentucky, and I'm guaranteeing you, if they go into the second half like this, if Northern Kentucky stays with them, Houston's in deep trouble.
Yeah.
They're in
See,
trouble.
Somebody please tell me Penn
Here's the
State's
thing.
losing.
Here's the thing. I look, Houston's a really good team, but a lot of people have them winning the whole thing just because I feel like the championship's in Houston, so it's like a great story to put together, and I'm not really sold on that. So I mean, I wouldn't be mad if they lost. I mean, it would bust my bracket even more, but I wouldn't be mad if they lost.
Yeah.
Brownie Talk Sports. Yeah, I give Maryland credit. Yeah, I mean, if Maryland beat us fair and square, I mean,
I was
there was some
really
bad
hoping
calls.
for a rematch. Really hoping.
I
Really
know.
hoping for a rematch, Joey.
I know I was too. I was looking forward to it. That would have been
I
great.
really was.
You know what's the most fun part about all this is some of these high and mighty teams, high seeded teams, go into these games thinking, yeah, this one's in the books. They don't really take them seriously. And these younger team or these lower ranked or seeded teams think we're going to beat these people because it's our championship. They don't care if they win the whole thing. They just want to knock them out. And so it's a complete dynamic thing. That's why I love it. This is exactly why you love to watch this. It's so good.
So at Talker's Pit, I don't want to get too many in here at one time. I'm backing up in the back room. I'm gonna put you in the
That's
back
no
room.
problem.
I'm gonna put you in the
Yeah,
back
no
room, and you're
problem.
welcome to stay back here, and I'll bring you back in later. All right?
Yeah, I'll go back into the chat on
Okay.
YouTube.
Thanks for coming in, man.
No problem.
All right. So next up, we do have another special guest that I invited in tonight. That's back here, been waiting on us, and I'm gonna bring him in. so we can introduce him. And then John Marzullo, I promise I'm getting to you. So another one that I invited in with us tonight is Tim Franklin, our resident USC fan. What's going on, Tim?
Hey, what's up, Joey? What's up, gentlemen?
Doing good, man. We were just talking some basketball, and John Marzullo's in the back room, and I'm gonna bring him in to see what kind of question he might have for us. Hey, John, what's going on, man?
Not much. How are you guys tonight?
Doing good. You been watching basketball today?
Yeah, I watched a lot of it. Sorry about your Mountaineers, but it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good start to the day, to be honest, in terms of quality games for somebody whose team doesn't play today.
Yeah.
So talk is Pitt kind of stole a few of my questions, but it makes sense. We're both fans of the same team, but to piggyback off of a few things that were just said, I guess. I feel like not only does the whole this is this team's Super Bowl kind of thing or championship game versus just a cupcake game for the higher seed. Let's be honest. If you've ever been to one of these neutral site sessions, if it's a close game late, the entire arena turns against Goliath and starts rooting for David. So it really, if you can get into a close battle at the under 8 timeout as a 15 seed Princeton, eventually at some point you're just going to play a home game for the last 8 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
first off, congratulations on your victory last night, and good luck against Iowa State. It's going to be a tough game.
Thank you.
But now, yeah, I agree with you. Now, David versus Goliath, I agree with that. But here's the thing about it. There's no reason that a team like Arizona should be losing to a team like Princeton. Does anybody doubt that? I mean, there's no reason for that. So Arizona just didn't play basketball, and that's bottom line. They didn't perform like they should have, because Arizona's just got far more talent on their team than Princeton has.
Yeah,
So,
well, and
I don't see. Go ahead.
I said, well, that's kind of what my super chat was trying to entail was, I think it's time to seriously question, because it's no longer a small sample size. There's a lot of really good teams from the Big Ten and the Pac over the last 20 plus years at this point, that just haven't advanced for whatever reason. And most of it usually comes down to guard play. And especially down I don't think Arizona scored a point in the last 5 minutes of the game. Their guard play just completely disappeared, and their bigs are really good, but you can't really do anything without your guards facilitating an offense.
Yeah, that same thing happened in a lot of games, though, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier. You get into these big arenas, and the basketball goal seems further away. Therefore, as a shooter, because I know that's what I was. I was a shooting guard. As a shooter, if I get into a different place to play, we had an away game or something, and the stadium was a little bit, or the arena was a little bit bigger. It was a big difference of whether or not I scored 10 points or 25 points. It was just a huge difference. So that's what I think happens in these games. So I think that might even the playing field. I think if you took Arizona and Princeton and you put them in a normal size basketball arena, I don't care where it is. It might be Western University, it might be Clemson University. Put them in a normal size one. I think that they would, Arizona would win 99 out of 100 times.
I mean, I still believe Arizona, even if you put them in this tournament size, they would probably still 99 out of 100. I think Princeton just had a better day. I mean, every dog has his day.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's amazing. I look, basketball is about momentum, and if you capture it in the middle of a game, when you're coming into the middle of the game and then into the second period, if you can own those two pieces of the game, then momentum wise, the other team is in trouble, and that's what happened to Arizona. They got caught.
Well, and it's matchups too, I think, as well. Like, you can say on day one, you look at your path to the Final Four,
Yeah.
and it is on paper what it is on paper. And then after a day or two of the tournament, your road to the Final Four has changed completely because of other results.
Yeah.
I cheer for ACC teams, and that's part of. I chuckle when the rest of the country says how bad the ACC is, and then we four. But then you go back and look at the bracket, and you say, between momentum, like you just said, North Carolina did it purely on momentum last year.
Yep.
No question in my mind. They weren't that good. And Duke is doing it partially on momentum now, but the draw for Duke is pretty darn good.
Yeah, they're in a good shot there.
Duke's going to do it again, and if I had to pick a team from that region, Duke is firing on all cylinders again in March.
So
Yeah, I
tomorrow,
agree with you, Tim. I think, and I don't like Duke personally. I do, but I don't. It's a love-hate relationship. I like the style of basketball they play, so I respect it. But damn, I'm tired of Duke. I'm tired. I'm tired of North Carolina too, by the way. And but it happens, and they are good. They're fundamentally sound, and we'll see. I think I'm amazed that Houston's struggling right now. I am, and because they're like Alabama to me. Houston and Alabama are just beasts in terms of athletes, right? But I don't know about their fundamentals, and that's the part I question.
I want to steer a subject for just a second to get our other guests involved here. So tomorrow there's a big game, a future Big Ten game, Big Ten matchup of the USC and Michigan State. Tim, what do you see happening there? I know you're pulling for USC, but that's going to be a tough one for you.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be a dust. Like you were saying before, and that game is all about matchups, right? The game you saw about because Princeton down low matched surprisingly well with the talent. I see a hell of a lot of blocks in the block in that game. But when it comes to USC, one of the things they haven't done very well, especially against when they played Arizona State in the Pac-12 championship game, was covered on the perimeter, right? And so those guys behind the arc. Well, unfortunately, matchups in all sports, boxing is one of the clearest examples of it. If you do something very well, if you're like Buster Douglas, you do something very well that maybe your opponent doesn't do that well, a massive upset could happen at any moment. Unfortunately for USC, they're fighting uphill. They're the underdog, and they're playing a team. What they do poorly is what Michigan State does. I think Michigan State's shooting like 40% from behind the arc, and shooting like I think top 15 threes, and that's what their weakness is. So that's gonna be interesting. They got a bunch of guys hurt as well, so I'm not too excited about tomorrow morning's game. But I've written the Trojans off a couple of times this year, and they've come back to surprise. Especially they beat UCLA, a good UCLA squad, and so are they capable? Yeah, if they're on, they can do it. If they somehow can get on that perimeter defense and stop that nasty 3-point shooting from the Spartans, then I give them a chance. I give them a chance this game. Because one thing we do is we have length, and they don't have a lot of big guys. So, Enfield's defenses usually have guys with length cutting down those passing lanes, getting out on perimeter defense, closing out short guards and be able to block. But they haven't done it very well the last couple of games. I don't know if that's because of injury. We have a couple of guys coming off of like some bad backs, some back strains. That's never good, right? Late in the season. So we'll see if they get healthy and give the Spartans a run.
I think you
How
will.
many games did you catch today, Tim? Did you catch a bunch of them?
Pardon?
Did you catch a lot of games today? Because I know you're a big basketball fan. But
well,
I
unfortunately, I worked today, so I snuck a little bit in here and there on my phone, but I was not able to watch a whole lot of basketball today. I did watch the end of the Arizona game, which was, I got to tell you, I am, every conference has the really bad fans, like really bad fans. Like in football, we have Oregon. In basketball, we have Arizona. So when Arizona loses, a team that's won one national championship ever, coming from a school that's never won one, but beside what, we're not walking around like we're the greatest team to come in basketball. When you see them go down, it's beautiful.
Makes you feel good, yeah.
I'm not.
Aaron Elliott, thank you.
I'm
Now,
one
I
of those guys
think
that root for my conference. If they go down, I laugh my balls off. I was laughing so hard.
Tim, have you watched Alabama play any this year?
I have.
Man,
They look
I
freaky.
mean, yeah. I look at, I'd hate to give them credit, but dang, those guys, seriously, they could win NBA championships. I mean, honestly, that's why I
know it's
can't
hyperbole.
discount.
I don't know that one, but I'll tell you what, they for a college team, they've got when you draw about the athletic, right, like threes and fours, yeah, they it's pretty amazing what they look like.
It is. That's why I was like, dang.
so. John, is your bracket still alive, John? As far as like Final Four?
Final Four is still alive as of now, yeah. Although we'll see how far that lasts into tomorrow.
You don't have Pittsburgh in the Final Four, do you?
I do not. I have them beating Iowa State and losing to Xavier. However, this would be the year that they surprised me. It would be. It's just the way this tournament works. Is as soon as you say this just isn't the year, then all of a sudden, somebody catches fire, and that's what happens.
I'm done.
Question for USC fan. Sorry, my speakers are a little choppy, so I didn't catch your name when you introduced him.
Yeah, his name's Tim Prangley.
Yeah.
All right, Tim. I guess a question, but really a statement too. How do you guys defend the three? Unfortunately, I don't get to watch a ton of West Coast basketball. I watch a few games here and there, but if y'all can crash the board, if y'all win the rebound battle, and it sounds cliche, but win the rebound battle.
Yeah, that's another thing we don't do well, unfortunately.
Oh boy.
Right? Yeah. So we don't. Yeah. But what they do though is their defense and steals. They're an incredibly athletic team. You can watch a guy named Kobe Johnson, right? Pretty good bloodline name for basketball, but it's supposed to be a Laker fan. But anyway, Kobe Johnson, he's a sophomore, and he didn't get Defensive Player of the Year.
Does he spell it right?
He does spell both right correctly. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't botch up the birth certificate like a lot of people do. Yeah. He's pretty damn. Every year I pick my favorite freshman, and I kind of just like follow them. And he just jumped off right away. Just he's one of those guys that's just, if there's a tip ball goes out of bounds, guess who tipped it? It was him. Do you know what I mean? If they get a steal or tip that leads to a steal, it's usually him. So, he's got quick hands. He's, I hate to use a football term, but he's got a nose for the ball. He's always there. And he's a big part of that defense. And they play really good defense, but they don't. And it's surprising. They don't rebound better. So that's.
Do they play a zone or a man-to-man?
They play a lot of man-to-man, and they'll switch to a zone, but they play a lot of man-to-man.
Okay. Because sometimes a lot of teams that play heavy zones really struggle to rebound out of the zone. So I was just wondering.
Yeah, no, it's weird. Like a lot of us were talking, we just think that they were hurt, banged up, because we have a guy at Peterson. He's a tough matchup for any team. He's 6'9". He's a 6'9" guard. They play at the 3, I think. Or they're playing 3 guards. It's just weird. And he's the one bringing the ball up. They don't have a true ball handler. So that's
Aaron just chatted. Yeah, Aaron just chatted and Joy, and he's right. They're not looking good.
Tim,
Thank you for our super chat, Aaron. Yeah, University of Houston. Not good.
Tim, for your sake and my bracket's sake, I hope USC wins tomorrow because I have USC winning over Michigan State.
Do you have us beating
Let me
Providence?
go over something here. I just looked something up. This is amazing to me. All right, so this is something I just looked up. So 3-pointers today, West Virginia and Maryland game. Okay, 3-pointers. West Virginia was 42.1%. They were 8 of 19 on 3-pointers. Maryland was 33.3, 6 of 18. Free throw percentage. We were 81.3% at the line, 13-16. They were 68.2, 15-22. Rebounds. We had 16 offensive rebounds. They had 8. We had a total of 35 rebounds. They had 29. Assists. We had 7 assists. They had 12. Steals. We had 6. They had 7. So pretty even there. Turnovers 12-13. So pretty even there. If you look at the stats, you think, wow, West Virginia shot 42% from 3-pointers and 81% from the line. They probably won that game, and we didn't. And here's why. Field goal percentage. West Virginia was 39.3%. Maryland shot 51% field goals. So that's where that game was lost.
One more thing on Houston and Virginia, for that matter. I think because someone a few minutes ago asked why in the world people pick Virginia, but it's the same people who are picking Houston. They're the same. The kind of teams like that are always the issue with those kind of teams is, yeah, they play really good fundamental basketball, but just the nature of how they play keeps them in a lot of one-possession games, which is a blessing and a curse in the tournament. Because if you keep giving one-possession chances at the end of games for teams to make a play or fold, and they make a play, you're now in a dogfight down the stretch. And Virginia just couldn't hang with let Furman have the last punch, and it connected.
Well, that's why I picked USC to win. Is it tonight or tomorrow? But I picked them to win because they are like 4-2 in games that are decided by 3 or under.
Yeah, well, frankly, that's why my team's even in the tournament. Their first 6 games again that were one-possession game. Well, in the ACC, they struggled early in the season in one-possession games. But in the ACC, the Virginia game, both the Carolina games and the Miami game were all 1-point or 2-point games, and we came out on top in all 4. But if you're repeatedly in high leverage games in 2-point, 1-point games, and you let them have shots at the win or the lead, it just math is going to come back and bite you eventually. So.
Yeah.
That's kind of my viewpoint on picking Virginia deep, because they don't really have that put-away guy. They rely on you starting slow and building an early lead and then just holding on to it.
I'm trying to remember who my 4th team in is, because I've got 3 Big 12 teams. I've got Texas, Kansas State, and Kansas in the Final 4. And I'm trying to remember who my 4th one was. And I thought it was UCLA, but maybe it was not. It had to be somebody else. It had to be, I don't know. Maybe I did pick the Upper Billy seems to like that pick. Maybe that is who I went with too. I'm not sure.
I think Kansas State. I was if they weren't in the region with Duke,
right?
I think Kansas State's maybe got the best chance out of any Big 12 team to make the Final Four.
I got them winning the whole thing.
I couldn't remember who my 4th one was, and I don't have my bracket here handy. So, but I do know I've got 3 Big 12 teams, and I know I've been saying that all year. Because the Big 12 was loaded this year, top to bottom, and was really good. So I just felt like that the Big 12, if we're going to win a national championship in basketball any year, it's going to be this year. We won the last couple, so. I just think that Big 12 is really loaded this year. So I have 3 out of the 4 Final Fours being Big 12 teams.
I mean, and not only that, Joey, I think. Oh, go ahead.
As an SEC guy, Big 12, I'll give Big 12 their credit. They're the best basketball conference. But SEC is creeping up. You got Alabama, you got Tennessee, you got Arkansas. I mean, you got these really good teams in the SEC. In this tournament. So, and if Florida, it pains me to say this, but if Florida could ever get back to a basketball school, I mean, the SEC creeping up on the Big 12 there.
Yep, they're coming in hard.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with saying that. Alabama, the best team in the SEC, played Oklahoma, the worst team in the Big 12 this year. Do you remember the final score of that game?
I don't.
But Oklahoma beat them pretty bad. I think it was 20-some points.
But it was early, Joy.
Yeah, that was the SEC challenge, which was what?
Yeah.
It's always like 9 or 10 of the season.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing I get mad about the net ranking. It gives people discredit for early games when they're learning. Duke was not worth a fat baby's ass in the early part of the year. They are probably the team to beat now. Okay, now not because I like Duke, because I don't like Duke, but they're going to probably be the team to beat. What you've got to look at is where they lost games or where they didn't win convincingly was probably early in the year, and now they're on a roll. And that's because they got better. They gelled over the years. And that's the difference.
And especially in this day and age with transfers, it takes teams longer to get started. I mean,
That's right. That's right.
you know, so because teams are taking in transfers like crazy.
Yep.
So and they're becoming starters. So when you've got 3 transfers out of 5 of your starters coming in to playing for the first time with the other 2 players and a new coach, so a different coach.
Well, there's a pecking order.
Right, and none of the 3 of them have played together before. It makes a huge difference. But these days, the days are gone where a player comes out of high school and pretty much stays with one team anymore. So getting 5 or 6 kids to stay with one team from start to finish these days is going to be really, really tough.
Twisted, I don't love Duke. I respect Duke. I don't necessarily love them because they make me angry. So don't get me started.
Aaron Alley, thank you for our super chat. He says Houston Marcus Salter is hurt. So
That's trouble for Houston. But can I piggyback on something with the net rankings? And this is not like just because one conference was ranked high and one was not. I think it's kind of fun.
You cut out there.
I said I think it's kind of funny that the NCAA keeps trying to force upon us different metrics to try and rank these teams by computer, when once it comes to this time of year, it is a 68 team any given day tournament. It doesn't matter what algorithms, what metrics you try and use. The flukes happen in this tournament. Like,
yeah. John, it sounds like you're having some trouble with your microphone there. Are you back?
You know what? But Tim says it out loud. What everybody else knows, right? Is there's so much that changes in the course of a year that you start doing a net ranking that's a computer that doesn't see. There's teams that start out really slow and they build and they build and they build through the year. They get really good. But all the games that they lost in the early part of the year get counted against them. Now, look, Clemson didn't belong, and so I'm not defending that. And I told my buddies in Clemson land that we didn't belong, neither does NC State. And Pitt, maybe not. And that's why talk is Pitt. They better damn well win because you got in. So that's all I'm going to say. But that being said, the net ranking doesn't include all the intangibles that go into building a team over the year. And that's the fault. That's a big problem.
We got the man with us now. The man, come in. What's going on, Golden Blue dude?
Not happy, man. Only got a few minutes because, like I told you earlier, packing to go to West Virginia tomorrow. We got a short weekend trip, but first of all, my brackets are totally busted because Arizona let me down. Get freaking beat by Princeton. I was happy earlier because my upset of Furman over Virginia did happen. But the thing that really irritated me, and you already know, I'm a West Virginia fan. We got beat by Maryland. But listen, we were in the same exact situation as I think it was Furman, where they were down 67, 65, and they hit their 3 and won 68-67. Same exact score. If Kedrian Johnson would have hit that three, we would have beat them. No, it was 69-68, I think. Whatever it was, it would have been the same exact score. It feels like we're cursed, man. Like the shot will go in for them, but the shot will not go in for us.
Golden Blue
What do we
Dude.
got to do?
Golden Blue Dude. I wanted to piggyback off what you just said before I lose my train of thought. But anyways, like I said earlier, had that Virginia guy never thrown that ball, he had no reason to throw the ball to anybody. He threw it. Guy threw it to the wrong team. Shot the three. I mean, that is just about as horrible as you can get. Virginia probably should have won that game.
Oh yeah, I agree. That was a terrible pass, and he shouldn't have. Who was he throwing it to? It looked like he
Nobody.
was literally throwing it to Furman. Who was he throwing it to?
He was trying
He's
to
been paid off.
block, I think.
And then talking about West Virginia, we send him to the free throw line like we're supposed to. He hits the first one, misses the second one, so we don't get the ball off of a fluke, off of just a missed free throw. 4 seconds is plenty of time to advance the ball to get a decent shot. Doesn't have to be a three. You can send it overtime. But Kedrian Johnson, if you watch when he shot the ball, it's almost like he thinks the ball has to go in before the buzzer because there's still at least a full second or right there whenever he releases, and he could have at least taken one more step or gotten a better angle. And he was our dude today too. 27 points. If he would have made that 3-pointer, it would have been 30 points. And I thought it was meant to be because he was our guy. He was the one that was hot today. But whenever it came down to the shot to get us to the second round,
GVD, the problem with the whole thing was everybody, both teams played like dog crap.
well, shooting,
They were horrible. And I was sitting there thinking, how
Stevenson
in
with the
the
no-show.
yeah,
I don't know
how
what
does
happened to
that
Stevenson.
happen? How does that happen? I
I
mean,
don't know. Our best shooter, Stevenson, who's had several 30-point games, he had what, like 9 points, something like that? It wasn't. I'm like, dude, this is the game that you need the most. It's lose and go home, win in advance, and you don't show up. He wasn't playing with any emotion. The only dude on the court that was playing with any emotion whatsoever was Kedrian Johnson. That's it.
Yeah, but I agree with you, and it was frustrating. And I actually was pulling for y'all because I hate Maryland. I just hate them. I mean,
Oh man, we have many reasons to hate Maryland. Not only are they rival, not only are they on the border, but they're the main reason why West Virginia's not in the ACC.
when I was pulling for Furman, I was with you. I was pulling for Furman too. I mean,
I called that upset. I did not trust Virginia worth a flip. I thought they were.
Well, they look
and
weak.
I thought Furman was one of the best mid-major champions out there, and I thought they were going to get them.
Yep, they got them.
I said this earlier, but Golden Blue Dude wasn't in here. But I only have 2 games that I missed so far out of all of them. And the one that I really needed to win because I had them in my Final Four was Arizona.
Yeah, me too. I have 2 misses. One was West Virginia. One is Arizona, and I had Arizona going to the national championship. Busted my brackets to pieces.
I want your thoughts, Golden Blue Dude, right before you get off, on Kansas State winning it all because that's who I have.
Kansas State, I mean, if they can play like they did during that hot stretch, I think it was late January, early February, where they were a top 10 team, absolutely. I definitely think that. And if you look at their bracket, it's very doable just for them to get to the Final Four.
No, the answer is no. Y'all are smoking crack cocaine.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. They gotta get past. They have to get past probably Kentucky.
And Kentucky's overseeded.
Okay, but then they gotta get past Marquette.
Okay, I'll give you that. And I do have Marquette going to the Final Four.
Shaka Khan's going to beat them. Shaka Khan.
I actually have Marquette getting to the Final Four. But to what the previous question was, would it surprise me? No, because I've seen how good Kansas State can be. And I don't think it's the toughest bracket out there. Or region, I should say. I don't think it's the toughest
there are tougher ones, but it's not a walk in the park. And we're assuming, but then you got Duke as well.
Oh, Duke and
Purdue.
Y'all are thinking about blue bloods. Duke, Kentucky. Yes, they are regular blue bloods, but they are not good this year. Purdue, yes. Marquette, yes, but that's it.
No, GBD, you know better. Why
And
do
And
you
Purdue
not?
only beat Penn State by 2 points in the Big Ten
Duke is
championship.
much better now than they were at the beginning of the year. I mean, way better.
Who?
Like,
Duke.
In the ACC, big whoop.
no, they're just gelled. They finally got their shit together.
In the ACC.
Well,
Don't
okay,
care. They're
okay.
going to choke again.
Well, okay. If you
If
think
they
so.
got Zach
Marquette,
Edey and
You
they
make
Purdue,
the
do.
Final
Marquette
Four.
and
I
Purdue,
don't care what.
yes, they do need to watch. I got Marquette going to the Final Four. The question was, what do I think about Kansas State in the Final Four? I have Marquette to the Final Four, so I have them getting bounced by Marquette. But what I was saying is, if they revert back to the Kansas State where they were top 10 and they were looking really, really good, it wouldn't surprise me. Duke doesn't scare me. Kentucky doesn't scare me. It's Purdue and Marquette that they got to watch out for.
Yeah, Edey's a
I don't
beast.
disagree with Purdue and Marquette being danger. I do agree with that. But
And
I
then
think
Purdue has shown some weakness here recently. I mean, not just the 2-point win over Penn State, but Maryland beat them. Yeah, they have a loss to Maryland. They are beatable. Now, West Virginia got blown out by them by 12 points early in the season, but after they started cooling down, there was some names that beat Purdue that you were like, why did they get beat by that team? That's
yeah,
not saying they're bad. They're good,
Let me
but they're
get
beatable.
let me get these super chats. Let me get these super chats. John Ball HGP, thank you for the dollar donation. He says, actually, Pitt is the reason you're not in the ACC. The ACC didn't need West Virginia. They already had Pitt.
Incorrect.
So
I'm
Incorrect.
assuming they're not.
When did Pitt join the ACC? I'm talking about from the beginning. Pitt
right,
was in the
that's what
Big
that's what he's
with
not
West
understanding.
Virginia. That's a dumb
They didn't join the
comment.
ACC
Dude,
for
if you're going to
20,
troll, do
20
better.
oh,
Do
he's
better.
he's just making up shit.
Yeah,
Do
They're
better.
for sure.
I'm a Pitt fan.
And
They're
Aaron
not-
Alley, thank you for the 2-hour super chat. And I think he's saying have a good night. He says have a good inning. I guess it's
Maryland literally blackballed West Virginia out of being a founding member of the ACC. That's how far back this rivalry.
Maryland sucks, and just be honest, I hate that team, and it's almost as bad as I hate Ohio State. I mean, nobody likes Ohio State. Come on,
Yeah.
be honest. But
Well, I mean, here's the thing with Ohio State, all right? They have a great brand. They have a lot of wins. But if you look at the Big Ten, let's talk about football for a second, all right? If you look at the Big Ten over the past, 40, 45, 50 years, how many national championships does the Big Ten have? 2. One by Ohio State and one by Michigan. That's it.
not in the bowl,
So-
not in the playoffs.
One in the playoffs, right? The first playoffs. They won one in the playoffs. And then Michigan won it in 98, right?
Ohio
Did
State
Ohio
also won.
State was it really the playoffs when Ohio State won? I didn't think we
The
were
first
in playoffs.
one,
Yeah, it was
the
the
very
first
first
one.
playoffs. As a
All
They
four
won
right.
seed.
BCS. They won BCS and a playoff.
All right, but
Ohio
but-
State won at BCS?
Yeah, 9 was it? They won it in.
no,
I
I
don't
know
think
they
so.
won in BCS there, but I
No.
didn't. Think,
No.
they beat Bama, didn't they, in the playoffs? Wasn't that the game?
They won as a 4 seed in the very first playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Then
remember that.
Michigan was co-national champs in 98.
Mm. But no, my point is, Maryland is a grifter kind of team or a program, and they've been that way forever. They grifted on the ACC, they jumped over to the big, and now they're trying to grift into the big boy league. They don't deserve West Virginia. Y'all let me down. Y'all don't ever lose
Oh,
them.
they let us down all the time. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, it makes me. You don't know how much money I lost on them. So
We're freaking cursed, man. You know
Yep.
better than put money on West Virginia. Are you serious?
well, I hate Maryland more.
I
So-
I
get
don't
that,
hate
but
West Virginia.
Ohio
I'm
State.
not,
Ohio State won the
I'm not gonna put money on my own
2002
team.
national championship over Miami.
Yeah, I didn't want to correct.
No,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
want to correct you on your own show, but they have a BCS and a playoff.
That
Okay.
was what, 02, 03?
02.
02,
Yep.
yeah, I forgot about
The
that.
very
because
first one.
Miami won it in 01, and then Ohio State won it. So they have 3. My bad.
Message is still the same. 3 in 50 years. Still the
Right,
same.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the Big East had what, 1, 2 Well, I don't know if Miami was in whenever they won those other. I think they were independent. So the Big
But
East had
I'm
one.
trying to get to where it's not media driven, poll driven. I want to get to where it's playoff driven. When somebody's in the
Yeah.
playoffs,
I mean, the Pac-12 has more during that time span. The Big 12 has way more. Of course, the SEC stomps them, and I think the ACC also has more in that same time span. I mean, I don't get the whole how. I understand the branding of it's tough. They recruit big offensive linemen and they like to run the ball and this and that. Yeah, but that doesn't turn into national championships. So
so did
I get sick of that
Nebraska.
narrative a lot.
Yeah.
And Ohio State, they're kind of like Texas. They've been one of the most overprivileged fan base out there. They make a ton of money. They have one of the biggest fan bases out there, bringing in a ton of money. They recruit top of the line every stinking year, and they have nothing to show for it.
I think Nebraska's biggest mistake was going to the Big Ten. They should have stayed in the Big 12.
They should have.
Yeah.
That's right. They were absolutely dominating the Big 12.
The problem with Nebraska moving is that when they moved to the Big Ten, they moved themselves into a league where everybody in the league did the same thing that they did. The whole Big Ten, at least the Big Ten West, is run the football well, have a good line. There's no flash to Nebraska's game. There never has been. They just ground and pound.
Read that super chat real quick. I want to
Tom
address
Waffle,
that.
thank you for the followership, Jed. He says 2011 realignment was about the market. Pitt was the better overall brand. They were chosen along with Syracuse. Oh my God.
That's a dumb
West Virginia. West Virginia went to the Big 12 in
Listen,
2011.
I understand that they were going for the TV market. Oh, the city of Pittsburgh. Pitt is in the city of Pittsburgh. Yeah, we need to get Pitt because we can grab that TV market. Except it's a pro sports town. They don't get the support of the city of Pittsburgh. It took the backyard brawl for them to finally fill it to capacity, over capacity, because there's like 25, 30,000 of us over there.
What John's not understanding either is that
they were looking.
West
I
Virginia
know what they were doing. Same thing they did with Boston College. They're like, okay, we're Boston College. That means we'll capture the Boston TV market and make a ton of money off the revenue of all the people that love Boston College. Except it's a pro sports town. Nobody cares about Boston College, even when they're really, really good. Nobody has cared about Boston College since Matt Ryan went off to the NFL. Nobody.
Here's the thing.
And I would argue that in 2011, Pitt was not the better overall brand. West Virginia was coming
No. You have to go back to the 70s for Pitt to be the better brand.
Well, 2011, if you're talking realignment, in 2011, Pitt was about as bad as it got in terms of their recent history. That was the beginning of the rebuild that we're seeing the fruits of now.
Yeah. Their brand was 13-9. That was their brand back then.
Well, yeah, that was the big one. But the reason 13-9 was so big was because we were at the beginning of a rebuild. If you wanted to get the market of Pittsburgh, it was Pitt, yes, but you should have gone West Virginia with Pitt instead of Boston College.
You would have captured the entire market.
If you want the entire market, you go after the rivalry.
Right. And if you're going back into what he was saying, Pitt was the better brand, that's false. And I understand, Pittsburgh means, the city of, or Pitt is equivalent to the city of Pittsburgh. So they thought perhaps that they were capturing the city of Pittsburgh. But there's just as many West Virginia fans as there are Pitt fans in and around the city of Pittsburgh. So if you want to capture the TV market of Pittsburgh, then you need to get Pitt and West Virginia. In fact, you're capturing more eyeballs, maybe not the entire city of Pittsburgh, but a good chunk of it, plus the entire state of West Virginia. If you would have picked up West Virginia, they would have picked up so much more viewership if they would have picked West Virginia over Pitt. But if they want to capture the entire city of Pittsburgh, then you get them both.
Yeah, the only thing I'll hear about that on his side, and this is from another Pitt fan, I also cheer for Pitt. The 2011 was the tail end of our best basketball years. So if you wanted to make the argument that Pitt was a better perennial basketball power than West Virginia over the previous decade at that point, you could probably make that argument. But
Then again,
know-
West Virginia did go to the Final Four in 2010.
they did.
Yeah.
They did.
And the Elite Eight in
but-
2009.
Yep. When we lost to Louisville, was it?
Yeah, I mean that whole stretch of years was just the Big East beating up on each other in the tournament.
Aaron,
Well, guys,
thank you.
I got to
for your
bounce.
super
I got to
chat.
do a few more things. I just wanted to pop in real quick.
Oh, okay.
Joe, you might have to kick me out because I don't want to, chance
All right,
ending the show.
All right, we will see you later, man. Let me see if I can boot you out of here.
Thanks for doing the show, guys.
It's not letting me boot you out, so I'm just going to remove you from the stream. Okay, I just put you in the back room because it won't let me boot you. So Aaron Ellie, thank you again for 2 hours super chat. He says, just have to say, University of H is up to day 9.
Hey, I'm gonna have to go, but I really appreciate you,
All right.
Joey, for letting me come
Matthew,
on.
I appreciate you coming in, Matthew.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a great night.
Hey, and everybody go over. Tell everybody where to find you at.
Just type in "Eat 'em Dogs" and it should pop right on up on YouTube. And I'm having a live stream this Saturday at 7. So come be with us. We're gonna be talking about some obviously some college football, and hopefully you can join us.
I'll be there with you, Matthew. See you at 7 o'clock Saturday night, brother.
Yes, sir.
And then there were 3 of us.
Wow.
So, Joey, my only takeaway from the March Madness is there is nothing that's predictable, and we know this every year. There's always an upset or 2 or 5, and thankfully, it's some of the teams I don't really care for, right? So that's good.
Don't steal my thunder, because every year when I make my bracket, I think that I'm going to win $1 million. Every year when I make my bracket. So
Well,
now
you're insane, and doing the same thing every year and expecting a different result is insane.
Yeah, that's the very definition of it.
No, it's okay. I just happy. I'm happy to see teams that don't get a lot of recognition finally get some recognition. These little teams, the ne'er-do-wells.
So it's 0.12% of all the brackets filled out are still a perfect bracket right now. 0.12%. So that's
Well, Joey, the reason why for that is because most people pick chalk, and we all know the first way to blow your bracket is to pick chalk. So there you go.
all right, guys. I guess we'll wrap this show up. But I want everybody to know where to find you. And Tim's got a USC show over on Mark Rogers. Tell him about that, Tim.
Oh yeah, so we have our 3rd show Saturday night at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, and this week we're talking offensive line. So hopefully you guys want to learn about some SC football. Come check it out. I'm sure I'm a pilgrim in unholy land on this show talking about the Pac-12, but you guys want to come check it out.
You're talking about the Big Ten when you're talking about USC.
Well, we're still Pac-12 for one more year.
Yeah, no.
Big Ten.
You're
Just
Big
go ahead.
10, man. The Big
Tell
10
everybody-
sucks too, though. The Big 10 sucks too, so I can
That's
go
why
down
we're going
that
there.
way.
So we can run that shit.
Yeah,
Have a
well,
good
you probably will because it sucks. So to be honest. No, I'll give you a hard time on that because I don't like the Big 10. I didn't like the Pac-12 either, but certainly don't like the Big 10.
Tim, I appreciate you coming in with us, man.
Yeah,
Anytime,
Tim's
Joey.
good people. Tim's good people.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Billy.
Hupper Billy needs to start his own channel, but I tell you what, he's on all kinds of shows. We can find him over on Pigskin Pete, Uncle Lou, and here on Golden Blue Dude, and Chris the Rooster. We've got him everywhere.
I love Tim, and I love all these guys. I mean, they really are. They're smart people. So Tim's smart, so he knows.
Thank God. I got you fooled. Yes. One for me. Woo.
Love
Anyway,
you.
thank everybody in the chat for coming in with us tonight. I enjoyed it. Had fun. Good luck to you,
Later,
basketball
guys.
live, and we'll see everybody tomorrow night. Golden Blue Dude should be back with you tomorrow night. We'll see
Yep.
everybody later.
Bye.